I'm Dr. Petrina Carmody, and I'm a psychologist and consultant and have been with Great Place to Work for over 10 years and in the engagement and leadership space for more than 20 years now. Today, I'm delighted to sit with Oluseyi Fasanya, HR Director at DHL Express Nigeria. DHL Express Nigeria are one of our top organisations achieving best workplace status in Nigeria for each of the last 2 years. For over 20 years or so, Say has worked across organisations and brings the rich perspective associated with that. His focus on HR in the logistics sector has been for most of the last 20 years, with about 4.5 spent at DHL, the last 4.5 spent at DHL Express. Over the next hour, we'll be talking about some key areas around the culture side of things that drive success at DHL Express, and he will very kindly share from his wider expertise and success. Talking with Say in our preparation for today, it became clear how deeply he and DHL Express believe and act on their mantra of respect and results. That respect is, I hope you'll share more with us, Say, but I had the sense that respect is a non-negotiable needed to achieve results, that culture really matters for you at DHL Express. Our plan for today, and you'll be pleased to know that I'll soon stop doing all the talking, but our plan for today is that after a short introduction, we intend to focus on some of the key touch points that we at Great Place to Work support and that in fact Say drives for DHL Express. Those of attracting talent, onboarding, employee development and progression. As we have our conversation today, we invite you to post questions on the chat and we'll leave plenty of time for a Q&A at the end, at least 10 minutes or so. So I hope, Say, we might begin talking together, and we just would really love to hear some and see how our conversation evolves, but some of the really rich insights and some of the reasons why you have such a powerful and successful workplace culture at DHL Express. For example, why an overwhelming 93% of people would strongly advocate the organisation as a great place to work. Before we get into the detail, most importantly, may I invite you, Say, to introduce yourself?
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's really a pleasure being here today. I'm Oluseyi Fasanya. Just simply saying a bit about myself. I am an accomplished and experienced human resources executive with over 2 decades working with several reputable organizations across various functions. I have over 10 years experience managing HR from a C-suite level. I would say I have a strong professional background and an MBA in finance from the University of Leicester. I'm a full member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, and I'm also an appointed member of the Human Resources and Governance Committee of the Institute, a fellow of the Korean Logistic Management Institute of Nigeria, and the chairperson of the Committee of Personnel Experts for the Courier and Logistics industry. I'm currently the Human Resources Director for DHL Nigeria. DHL Express Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And what would you say really excites you and gets you up in the morning about your role?
I would say I really, really do love what I do, actually. In HR, you have an opportunity to actually impact lives. And this actually is in sync with DHL's purpose, which is connecting people and improving lives. And of course, I have a great team as well. So I look forward to coming to work every other day just to be with my team and be able to impact lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, yes, so the passion for impacting lives and caring about the people and working together. And in our talking before this session, it came across to me how important the culture was to your success and the success of the organisation. How would you, if I had to put you on the spot and say, how would you describe the culture at DHL Express in a few words? What would you say?
DHL culture, really, it's more of a people first culture. We believe our people are superstars and we treat them as one. We also refer to them as superstars as well. Our culture is of respect and result, and we don't compromise result for respect. So it's really a very lovely environment, and we're very much in sync with our people and ensuring that we have a very motivated workforce, and this we measure over time as well.
Thank you so much. And it's been a real honour to be with you on the measurement journey and be part of beginning to understand and know your culture and witness your success in working with us over the last couple of years. In a moment, we're going to, as we said, open out and talk about some key topics that we hope will really resonate with you as an audience.
Okay.
Before we get into those on the journey, would you mind just describing, for most of us it feels familiar, but would you mind describing what DHL Express does, what's at the heart of what you do, and perhaps a little bit about the organisation in Nigeria, so that it gives us some context for everyone before we start talking about some practical details?
Okay, well, DHL Express, under the division of DHL, actually it's into small packages, or you call it, our business really is time-definite international shipment. So what we do is we help our customers to be successful. We help them in connecting to the business partners. We also help them in improving their lives, which is part of our motto. So basically, that's the essence of our business, really. Moving shipments and packages for our customers, ensuring that we also foster and promote commerce within the Nigerian space and economy.
Thank you so
Thank
much. So perhaps then we could turn our conversation to thinking first about the very important aspect of your role around attracting people to work with you and recruiting the right people and helping them really flourish with you. I suppose I'd just love to hear the richness of the journey. How would you say you attract candidates?
What an interesting question. I'll say three things we do, and I'll break it down afterwards. We actually create an effective employee value proposition. We also believe that our employees are our best brand ambassadors, and we promote our organizational values. Now, under our EVP, which is our employee value proposition, we know that we are we are the world's most international company. We have presence over 222 countries. Yeah. Our culture is of motivated people. We believe when our people are motivated, they deliver the results. We'll have a great place to work, and then we deliver those numbers and those values for our customers. And we also have a world-class, what we call certified international specialist curriculum program, which helps our people to build capacity and develop them. Now, we talking about the fact that we believe that our employees are our best ambassador. We don't just pay lip service to this. We measure this, and of course, companies like Great Place to Work also helps us to, keep in sync of what our people are saying, the values we actually portray, as well as in sync with the reality. Right now, just as earlier mentioned, one of the things we measure under employee opinion surveys is if our people love working for us. And I would say over time, it's been over 90. Last year was 93. One of the questions we also ask under that survey would be if they are proud of DHL as an organization. And 94% of them says they're very proud to be working for DHL. And then we asked if they are proud of their contribution to the success of our business. And 97% of the people said they are very proud of our contribution to the economy, to the business, or their contribution to the organization. So it tells you that DHL has a heart for the people. We're very much in sync with how people regard us. We don't assume things. We're very deliberate about what we do to ensure that we make our place a great place to work. And under promoting our values, what we do is we use our websites, media materials to just talk about all of the things we do at DHL, touching our people's top performance. We have performing researchers like yourself, looking into our numbers and giving us an external view on if truly, what we say is what we are. You understand? It helps us to identify areas of gaps, build up initiatives, deepen our cultural values, and address areas that maybe we may have gaps in. So basically, that's what we do to make sure that we are very attractive for our candidates.
Very good. Thank you so much. So essentially, it sounds like you set out your stall very clearly of this is who you are and this is what you believe, but then you don't take that for granted. You actually measure and find out whether that's the true experience, and then you
Very true.
act to mold the experience. And it sounds like you feel that, not to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you feel that that comes across to candidates. So in terms of the
Very
EVP,
important.
if I was looking to perhaps join you, that yeah, that's very much out there and very clear. This is who we are, and this is the process that we go through in Culture Matters.
Very true,
And
Katrina.
how do you mentioned you have your values on the website, and are they something that you use as part of recruiting? Are they, how do you use them, and how do you assess whether somebody may fit and how they'll fit?
Well, basically, once you have an advert out there, we give you a profile of what our organization is, what we do, as well as what our culture is. We let you have a feel of who we are as an organization, and all of that is displayed. We have access. We would give you access to resources that would let you really sink into what we do. You understand, into the heart of DHL, which is the people. And most candidates are actually out there understanding fully well that if they're giving their time and their resources and their life into the business, they want to be sure that they're coming into an environment where they can thrive.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so it sounds like it's very much a two-way journey. That
Yes,
it's
please.
you sharing about you as well as clearly finding out about them to see if it's a match together. Interesting. And your survey results are really, really, I've worked in the survey field for over 20 years now, and your survey results are really fantastically, overwhelmingly strong. So indicating a really strong culture. And you've already chatted about a few of them. Do you proactively find yourself sharing those results with potential candidates? Or is
Yes.
that
Yeah, of course. In our chats with our people or any kind of potential candidates we have, most times when you ask questions or during the intro, we talk about, the fact that we're a great place to work. This has been certified. We talk about what our values are. We talk about, give insights into details like what our culture surveys or results were. The fact that, we're a great place to work, and what people are saying about us. We do communicate that to candidates just for them to have a feel of where they would like, if they would like to onboard, DHL as a place they really would, like to grow their careers.
yes? Very good. And thank you. And what would you say are the most important things you do to ensure that you hire the best people?
Hmm.
Tricky
Well,
one, that $1 million question, but maybe
yeah, I
maybe
know. You quite understand that we regard our people as superstars. So right from the inception, the important and critical thing is that we treat our candidates like customers. You understand? They come in. We want them to have a great employee experience. Of course, during the compilation, trying to come up with the job profile itself, we ensure that the job description is quite robust and compelling, something that would, intrigue them, something that would excite them. You understand? We look for people who are very career oriented. People want to grow their career, want to grow within the organization. We're an organization where you have people here for the last 35+ years. You have over 20 people here for over 20 years and above. You understand? Almost over 100, if I would say. And we have a very rich culture of growing people from within. So we want to focus on ensuring that whoever we're bringing on board have very good practical experience. Yes, even though we don't necessarily focus on, past experiences, because we understand what we're looking for is actually aptitude. People who have great potentials to grow within our organization. We are always on the lookout for people with growth mindset. So we make sure that we test for those. So what we do is we test our candidates, and we want to determine what their strengths would be, if they align, if their values also align with our organization. So basically, that's what we do to ensure we bring them on board. You understand?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. So, and it's very interesting to hear you focus there on, yes, of course, experience matters, but aptitude and potential sound really important, and that openness. Thank you.
Very true.
Mm, mm. So if I had to say to you again, what single thing would you say you're most proud of about how you hire people for DHL Express? It doesn't have to be a single thing, clearly, but yeah.
Okay, so basically we are proud of the fact that we have great candidate experience, because even after our surveys or post employment, we do measure how our people regard the experience itself, and so far it's been quite very engaging. We're proud of the fact that we give them an enriching experience. They go through all of our phases, which are quite robust, actually. You understand, depending on where you're coming in from. If you're an experienced hire, you go through a particular route. And if you're coming in as most likely a feeder system, an intern, you're coming through the feeder system, which means you go through our assessment centers. And over time, from feedback, employees have had very great experience, and they've also contributed in how we can also make those experiences better.
So again, this theme perhaps of listening. So listening and finding out how things are for people, whether they're existing employees or potential employees, and shaping your future based on the feedback. Thank you. So a learning culture.
Thank
you. Thank you. Well, a key topic on very many people's lips at the moment is Japa syndrome. And so I just wondered, the question might be really, how would you say that you minimize the risks of this to your organization?
Okay, first is what you don't measure, you can't actually identify. For us, we've been measuring things like our attrition rates over time and year. Before, and honestly, the truth is people have been emigrating even before now. It's just that over the past, let's say 12 months, we've seen quite a huge what's it called, migration of people away from the country to relocate to other places. But for DHL, because we have a very strong culture, our environment provides opportunities for our people to grow. And say before now, attrition rates used to be somewhere around 3.2. And even measuring that after the whole exodus of the people, yeah, it's just about 6.3, you understand, which is really below 10%, below the threshold. And what keeps our people? We are an environment that fosters, well, mostly people want to go out there to go and either develop themselves or get another degree or locate for family reasons. For the guys who are trying to, or for the folks who are trying to develop themselves, we provide robust opportunities for you to keep working whilst you're also schooling. We actually also pay for certifications eventually, and we have robust opportunity even within the organization for you to try cross-corporate. For example, you have people who have worked in DHL Nigeria, who's actually now in DHL Germany or in South Africa and Europe or Canada. So it's an environment, it's where it offers its people an opportunity to actually grow. And because of the fact that we traverse across, various continents, we also offer people those opportunities. And we've had people who wanted to relocate and then, having to work remotely, giving them opportunity to do that whilst they're still within the organization. So great. So it's actually has helped people to stay. And because the fact is like, we have a great culture. How many people really want to leave an organization where you really are valued? You understand? Those are the questions we have. And that's the trepidations people actually share whenever they have to take those decisions. But we support them to be successful. That's what's important for us.
Thank you so much. So it sounds like, say, the secret is about the fact that, again, it feels like it might be around this great culture, that you add value for people, but you also value them as individuals, and therefore valuing them helps you deliver on the results. So I imagine that respect to results. Again, thank you. Is there anything else that you think it would be useful to share around the attracting and recruiting piece before we think about onboarding?
Well, at the moment, I'll just say, attracting people, if you're going to be attracting the right people, what is important is that you provide very strong culture. That needs to be projected. The other one is the fact that you need to engage your candidates. Most times, one of the concerns being flagged by candidates, the fact that they don't really understand what's happening. So most organizations would engage them, would probably start up the process, and afterwards leave them in limbo. But for us, what we do is we consistently engage them, even when you go through our assessment center and you are within our pool, we consistently and constantly would update you on what's happening, the opportunities are available, the fact that we very much have your profile, and we're looking forward to onboarding you. We give you materials and resources for you to, look into whilst you're waiting for those opportunities. And of course, we give those internship opportunities that whilst you're within that pool, we have opportunities like to run like a 3-month internship or 6-month internship. We invite people within the pool to do that just to keep them engaged. And of course, the importance of hiring quickly can be overemphasized. So you find that a lot of people stretch their recruitment process in such a way that even the candidate gets wary. We must understand that it's the candidate market right now. So if you find a candidate, understand that you need to close it right on time and bring that person on board. That shows that you value them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and it struck me that sense of being valued then continues into the experience when people join. So overwhelmingly, virtually everybody, 97% of your people said they strongly endorse that you're made to feel welcome when you join the organisation, just phenomenally. So essentially, a really strong, welcoming experience. How do you onboard people? That's a big question. I know. What are the key essences, I suppose, that you're proud of and like to share?
For us, we have an onboarding journey. That will be the pre and the post onboarding period. For pre-onboarding, basically once we identify a candidate, we find them suitable, and we go through all the checks. 2 weeks just before you resume, we would send you what we call a DHL in a box. It's a package actually. In that box, nice. You will find a video playbook talking about a welcome address from our CEO, talking about the organization, what we do, and welcoming you on board, giving you, referring to resources that you can access in order to understand the rich culture of DHL. It talks about our culture generally. Also within that, you'll find a welcoming card where your team members would have signed off, giving exciting word, talking about the fact they're looking forward to having you join. And within that, you also have what we call the CIS Startup Passport. Now, for DHL, you have what we call a CIS Passport. That's Certified International Specialist. Within that passport, all the trainings you go through, you get a stamp on it. It's just our way of saying that we are citizens of DHL. We're committed towards DHL. We love what we do. Now, within that DHL in the box, also you have your lanyards, you have your contract materials, you have copies of your learning journeys, and the 6 pillars of DHL. All of that you have in your DHL in the box, and usually it's delivered either to your home address or work address or whatever address you give. And I can tell you that feedback from that initiative alone, it's quite very robust, and people are very robust and very exciting. People tell us how excited they are to get that. It makes them feel very special and valued. Now, after that, then you enter into the onboarding journey itself. We have, once you join and you complete all your administrative process, we assign you what we call a buddy. That buddy helps you with culture integration, helps you, just to integrate within the team, understand what you need to do, give you all the necessary support, or guide you throughout, your 1-year onboarding journey. But within that space also, because it's also documented, you have it also in what we call our Smart Connect. Smart Connect is an app in DHL. It's just like your Facebook, social networking and all. So once you come in, we make an announcement that you're joining DHL. We give your profile. Everybody knows. Everybody's excited. You get all those comments, and people try to know you and all. And people find it quite very interesting. So then we measure the journey, your first week, your first month, your 6 months and then 1 year, and all, all of those could be seemingly administrative, but we get your feedback on the things you need to do, things to improve on. Your managers give feedback on how you're integrating, and of course HR is always there, so always follow through on all of those steps to ensure that within those milestones you're comfortable. We're very much available. If you need help and support, HR is there to guide and to provide you the right direction. So that's really the entire story of our onboarding, journey in DHL.
Wow, thank you so much, Say. It sounds, as Ademola has said in our chat, it sounds superstar treatment indeed, and I would really echo that. And there were so many aspects in that description that I think are really fascinating. So does everybody have the same experience, no matter what role we're coming into? Essentially, the same core elements exist for all of us. Yeah, and I love the idea of the CIS passport. So the something to the international flavour. And so is that literally every training that I go on, I could record there?
Yes, every training. Actually, if you go through the program, you are certified for each of the curriculums you go through. And those curriculums, transverse between just specialists, managers' curriculums, and they are actually certified curriculums, recognized actually as well. Because what we built a school around our CIS program, and we have accreditations for them.
Thank you so much. And the culture buddy, is that someone that works quite closely with me day to day? And what do they do? What do they? Is it about the values? Is it about the practical? Where do I go? What do I do?
Usually the body is actually somebody who works closer with you, somebody within your team. And most times, once you resume, you don't, aside from the fact that we introduce them, we also give it a polo shirt that talks about "I'm your body," you understand? And he gets that. Your body will be within your team because he would also be guiding you through all your processes and helping you to integrate within the system.
Yeah, because one of the things, probably invariably as a psychologist, I'm particularly interested in is, of course, not only when someone joins, how do they get to grips with the what do I need to do, the practical detail of this is the process, but also how do they find out about those softer, unspoken rules of the culture? Because it sounds like culture is so important to you. How does the culture buddy also play a role in supporting people to understand how we treat each other around here and how we behave and the unspoken ones, if you like?
Definitely.
Very interesting. And you've again mentioned at each point, there seems to be an important recurring theme here around measurement and listening. So that at checkpoints through my first year, right, I give feedback and get feedback.
Yes, please. Very important for us because that's the only way we can improve on our system, improve on the employee experience as well.
How would you say DHL Express gets to know individuals, gets to know joiners as individuals, and gets to know about them? Because quite a lot of time often is spent in various inductions helping someone understand the culture they're joining. But I suppose it's reciprocal, isn't it? How does the organisation find out about the individual?
Okay, for us, we're a very social organization. There's I don't want event happening almost every other time. So we have what you call, for example, when a new joiner comes in, we would the team members will take him out for a lunch date, choosing any of the 5-star hotels. You go for a lunch date, a time out for the team, just to go have some fun, in an environment that is not too formal, and then get to catch up and know your team members. But what we also do is we also do our TGIFs, Thank God It's Friday. We have team bonding activities periodically. So you would have, even if we even do some bit of transverse, in which we mean maybe you have an operations team go out with the sales team, you understand, something like that. because it's also important that you just don't know your team members alone, but also the organization at large. You understand? So we schedule such sessions, team bonding sessions for every employee, so actually get to integrate with each other, know each other, and then foster good relationship.
Okay, so yeah, it's knowing within my team, but broader within the organisation and keeping that focus on individuals.
Yes, please.
So is there anything else that you would think it would be useful to share in terms of the onboarding and experience before we perhaps think about what happens when I'm part of the journey and how I grow?
I think key is what we've talked about earlier, the fact that it's measured, you understand, because periodically for each milestones, we would measure them. And because we also have it documented, it's triggered with it by the system itself. So if you've done 3 months, for example, the system would trigger, those activities as well as those measurement tools and questionnaires and things that needs to be done, because you just want to be deliberate about it. So we're very, very, very deliberate about our onboarding process and ensuring that, managers or supervisors align, with the expectations set out for a good employee engagement experience.
Yeah. So it absolutely doesn't just happen. It's very deliberate and intentional. That yes, it's a lot of human touch and relating to people as individuals, but it sounds like there are very clear expectations and a clear framework to help give a consistent experience. What would you say is the you'll see a bit of a formula here, everyone listening, but I'm always interested in sort of what single thing do you think is the most thing you're most proud of in terms of the onboarding experience? What's the magic?
I think I would say it's the entire process. I love the DHL in a box concept. It resonates with our people, and it's one thing everybody measures. Even indicates, even after joining the organization for 5 years, I got my box as well. I still have my box there. And sometimes you know how it is when you get your box delivered by one of our superstars couriers, and then your kids probably, the kids are waiting for you just to see what's in the box. Everybody's itching. And then also imagine the experience opening that box in probably the organization you're leaving. It's always like, oh, come on, So it's one part, one part of the entire process that we're really proud of, and we're always looking for ways to enrich, the stuff we have in there, and also enrich the experience for each of our candidates or new employees that we onboarded.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so a really strong memory, and everybody, I suppose, has that memory of that moment when I received my box and I became part of the family, if I can call it a family, but became part of the organisation.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you. And I love the way that you've labelled quite a few times in our conversation, or labelled's the wrong word, perhaps, described your people as superstars. And that concept that these are, yes, that's how you value individuals. So it sounds like you spend lots of time signposting exactly what you expect those superstars to do and how you expect them to interact. So I'd be interested now, if we can, to dive in a bit to sort of performance management and development, or I suppose more gently put, how you help people grow and thrive. So as a starter, I'd be interested, how do you support people once they're up and running in their posts?
Okay, we have some processes that helps to develop our people. I'll talk about first the individual development plan. The individual development plan is something you set up with your manager, where you have a sit down and you basically drop your developmental journey within the organization, whilst they identify probably some gaps that you need to cover within that space. It could be personal, it could be career-wise, it could be some steps you need to take. So you drop an individual development plan. Now, like I said earlier, everything actually is system-based for us. We have an Oracle-based system called My Talent World, where all of these activities actually take place. Now, you also have what you call the employee development reviews, which is taking it to the next level, where your managers would have a sit down with you, have a dialogue with you, talking about where you sit part-time within your developmental state, talking about succession planning, talking about, high potential candidates or high potential employee management and all of that. So excuse me, excuse me. For the individual development plan, what we basically would do is it's structured around 3 phases. What we'll say would be experiential, giving you an opportunity to tackle, day-to-day activities, and all of that. The other one would be via coaching and feedback, which would take a little chunk out of it. But people learn much more when they are hands-on on it. So a large chunk of it sits around 70% for us, which is looking at the challenges you have and assignments you take on the job and all of that. Coaching and feedback will probably just taking about 20%, while formal training, where you have your sit-down programs, your CIS programs, takes about 10 of those chunk. But under the employee development reviews, what you're trying to do is to determine, what step each individuals are. For example, you're trying to know if that employee is ready for promotion. You need to determine that if that employee is within developmental steps or needs to take some developmental steps, or if you should develop the person on the same level, or if you need to review that job fit. So all of those things, all of those indices are what we would like to measure and capture, as well as communicate transparently with our employees so that part-time they know where they sit within the developmental journey.
Interesting, thank you. And so one of my questions or areas of interest is, how do you help keep people on track, identifying sort of action needed early so they know where they need to work on to thrive? And it sounds like transparency is pretty important to you in terms of helping employees.
Very important, actually.
And how do you say you support career development planning at DHL Express? How do you
Well, we have it in 3 phases. First will be what we call the leads. That's the leadership, evaluation, achievement, development, and succession cycle. We also have what we call our last leadership assessment program, as well as our goal achievement phase. Now, for the leadership as the leads, it's all about looking at where you sit in terms of. There are 2 phases to it. Let me find a way to say it better. There are 2 phases to it, the evaluation phase as well as the planning phase. Under the evaluation phase, you would have what you would call the self-assessment review, where you'd grade yourself, say you sit within this cadre. Then your manager would also do his own review as well, just to have some balance in terms of assumptions and reality, you understand? Because most times employees may have this perception that, this is where they sit in terms of performance. But having those dialogue with your manager helps you really truly, put some context to the reality in terms of how you're performing. And after that, you have the management preparatory dialogue. It moves into the evaluation review. We give employee feedback eventually, and then we move into what we call the planning phase. Under the planning phase, you have managers' succession recommendations, which is where we talked about where the developmental direction, if it's ready for promotion within developmental step, need for development and all of that. So you need to have that discussion with your manager. He's transparent enough to say, hey, you know what? I see you being developed at the same level in the next 1 or 2 years. I'm not seeing a viable opportunity, or there's no viable opportunity right now for growth, you understand? And sometimes it may be a function of, yes, we're thinking of you moving into a particular role, but you need to make some take some developmental steps in order to be able to be suitable and fit for that opportunity. So you would have that discussion, and then, not just that, it's going to be documented and then it's going to be implemented. And then you have your succession planning review, and eventually feedback back with the employee. And like I said, all of this is documented in my talent vault. You go in there, have them documented, sign off on the agreements you have with your manager, and that gives you at least some perspective, in terms of where you sit in your developmental journey. So that's really what we do. So of course, you now go through your assessment period, your goals are set out, and then your goal achievements are also captured at the end of the circle itself. So it's quite robust for us at DHL.
Yes, interesting. So very robust underpinning framework, which is clearly and meticulously followed and then recorded. But as you were talking, I was also struck by the sort of clarity of the methodology, but also by how much you talked about what I might call, well, simply dialogue. Sometimes brave conversations, I imagine, and sometimes and the sort of softer skills of being a leader, perhaps, and a manager, making sure that you give feedback and listen and care. And so it sounds like that might also be quite important to your success. Is that
Very
fair?
true.
Is that something you, yeah.
Yeah, very true. Because what we're trying to also ascertain would be when manager is conducting that, he wants to be sure that he's making provision for foreseeable vacancies, you understand, in the future. He's also looking at contingency planning to be sure that, he's made some contingent plans. And he's also looking at successor where that will be needed because, you could have some senior person living in the next 3 years. He would like to ensure that he prepares somebody to fit into those roles. So a lot of those discussion borders around what is short-term, mid-term, and long-term. So eventually, as any employee would like to understand potential opportunities or growth within the organizations, and those transparent dialogues and discussions helps to to bring it to the fore. There are no assumptions. The manager is transparent enough. Their developmental journeys identified, gaps identified. These are closed. The managers help and support the employees to be successful. You understand? So basically, that's what the entire purpose of the developmental process is all about.
So it's help enabling people to be successful.
Yes, Liz.
And so that's your mindset. Yes, that's very interesting to sort of reflect on sort of the mindset at the centre of it. And I imagine that's what sort of then influences how these systems and processes are followed and how conversations happen. So what again, sort of summing up here, what would you say is the single biggest piece of advice you'd give to someone setting up a performance management and career development framework for the first time?
I would say that transparency is actually key for the success of any career management framework. Transparency is key because your high potential employees would like to know where they sit with the organization. They want to be sure that the organization is thinking about them. If they're putting in their time, their lives into the organization, they want to be sure that there are opportunities for growth, you understand? And it's quite very important that there are no ambiguity. So if you're transparent and you have a culture of integrity, and for us, for example, we grow our people from within, which is why you have people with us for over 30 years, 35 years and all. We have a very wonderful attrition or retention rate. And all of this is because we're a very transparent organization, you understand, which is key for us. Thank you.
Thank you. It strikes me as we talk, and indeed in talking before with the audience today and with everyone today, that there's a lot about DHL Express that's about the people, valuing people, decency and integrity. I'm aware, like many organisations, you deal with a complex range of different roles, different requirements, different types of work. So what advice would you say you have for people looking to drive consistency in organisational processes, but having to meet the needs of very different employee groups? I suppose, how does one square the circle? I don't know if you have any thoughts.
I would say deepening your cultural integration is actually very key. And, you can achieve that via stakeholder management. Of course, you have different, for example, we have what we call women in leadership, some resource group talking about our women, how we want to develop them. We measure that as well. And we have parameters we intend to achieve, and we're very deliberate and intentional about how we are building or developing our people within that sphere. So the process has to be transparent. That is very important.
Right.
You know, I mentioned it earlier. There's no ambiguity. You want to be transparent with your people, where they stand, and let them also know. Yes, we identify. Oh, possibly there's a gap here. Or there's a concern here. Yeah, this and this is what we're doing. Bring them into the planning phase. Engage them. You understand, and they see that you're quite intentional. You mean exactly what you're doing. You are putting your words, actions to your words. So, you know, there'll be the trust ratio is going to be very high. Then the other part will be equity and fairness. It's very important. There has to be an equitable and fair process, and all of this would help to actually drive consistencies in organizational processes. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's about being transparent, about where things are different and need to be, about being equitable and being fair. Thank you. And that topic of diversity, equity and inclusion at really top of people's radar at the moment, and rightly so. And in fact, in our last conversation, it was on that very topic. How would you say you weave your commitment to diversity, equity and inclusion into, and it's a big question, into the things we've been talking about today, into things like recruitment and induction and performance management?
Okay. What we do is, like I said earlier, we're very intentional about it. We have resource groups, identifying stakeholders that may seem to have well, not a disadvantage, but you understand what I mean. So, for example, in management, there's a mandate that you should have 33.3% of women within that cadre, which means that we're doing a lot in building our women. We have a resource group of women in leadership that I talked about earlier. So it's a very deliberate and intentional resource group that talks about development of developing our women folk, you know, and especially in management, not just within the blue collar space or the lower cadre, but in management itself. So, and every opportunity we have to actually develop them. So we have programs in university, for example. We had some people just graduated from University of Stellenbosch, paid by the organization just on management leadership development. You understand? Within that resource group, we invite industry leaders to come in, have a chat with the women. You understand? Body them, coach them, and mentor them as well. So we're very deliberate about that. We measure it on a monthly basis. It features my HR report on a monthly basis. We understand the peculiarity of our environment, for example, that within this space, our industry is career-based, and it's really large population or headcount of our people sits within the blue-collar space, which is the couriers making those deliveries. And culturally, you find it a bit very tardy or hard to find women doing those deliveries. But you know, in other functions, we've done a lot in terms of bringing them on board. Of course, not compromising on standards, not compromising, but giving opportunities to the high potentials that we have within our organizations, and helping them to grow, as well as creating opportunities for people within other spectrums, you know, of disabilities and that are disadvantaged as well. Looking at what we can do. I know we're building a new facility, so we're going to be having, you know, better ramps, better easy accesses, better toilets, and all of that for those category of people, so that we can truly, you know, express our mantra of being how do you call it, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. You know, all of that is what we preach, and we're doing a lot towards that and investing quite a lot towards ensuring that we achieve that mandate. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, you're being intentional, you're taking the action, and you're looking to presumably to get the best skills to be used and applied by making sure everybody has a decent opportunity. Thank you. And one of the things I'm always interested in, understandably with some bias, is how Great Place to Work has helped organisations on their journey. And in fact, you've talked quite a lot today about measurement, and how that can keep you on focus and to let you know what's going beautifully, and also what you might supplement. What would you say are the top 3 things that you are proud of from a HR perspective at DHL Express that help you to be a great place to work?
Okay. Three things I would say is just spelling them out. Our culture of respect and result, our people first respect. That's number one. Number two will be around our leadership competency matrix. We believe that we lead with our guts, with our hearts, and with our heads. You understand? Under the hearts, which is where, you know, I'll put a lot of focus when it comes within HR, is like we believe we're providing purpose. We're making work actually meaningful for our people. We trust that everything will be together if we're able to, you know, the trust threshold is really very wonderful around here. And we believe that trust actually holds everything together. That's our belief. And the third one would be, for me, a very rich and robust CIS program. I earlier spoke about the Certified International Specialist Program. Let me give you some insights into what we do. For example, you know, if, for example, I how do you call it? I'm aligned to go for a training, and I have a courier who is also meant to attend that training. Trust me, we used 5-star hotels, the best of the hotels out there. The same room that I would be staying in will be the same room my courier will be staying in, giving them, you know, that exceptional experience, talking about the fact that, you know, we treat our people fairly and equally. And these programs don't only happen locally. You have programs holding in South Africa, in Ghana, in Kenya, in Ethiopia. I've been to Ethiopia a couple of times, and I would go with, you know, with my couriers or anybody who is assigned to be in that program. And everybody enjoys same experience, same flight, same hotel, same 5-star experience. And people wonder why we actually still keep all of our people. It's all because we treat them really very specially, we treat them like I said, like our superstars. We don't just pay lip service to it. This is very intentional, and we have a very robust budget in our CS program. And that has actually, or those are the three main factors I'm very proud of being part of DHL.
Thank you so much, Say. I really appreciate it, and thank you for sharing such strong detail with us and such strong passion about what comes across to me wholeheartedly as sort of truly decent organisation where people really are valued as superstars. I could probably talk for quite a lot longer, but I'm aware that it's probably about time that we open this up to everybody else who's very kindly joined us today and ask, are there any questions that anyone would like to ask, Say? Please do type them in the chat or just speak as you wish. Hi, Adebola. I think I've needed to allow your mic, so I'll do that when people are speaking. Adebola, would you like to share your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Hello.
It's been an interesting conversation. Thank you. So my question to Mr. Fasanya is that I'm assuming that your members of staff, some of them can work from home, and if this is so, how do you support them, or do they become less of superstars because they choose to work from home? I just want to know how you go around to support them so they don't feel lonely or excluded from work.
Okay, I think on the flip side, what you should be saying is, where the guys on the field, how do they feel about not being part of this remote work opportunity? You know, that's the other side we need to manage. But no, talking about that, even with post-COVID, we are an organization that is very IT based. You understand? We make a lot of investment in tools for our people. So transitioning into remote working, full remote working, wasn't really a problem, because, you know, everybody practically have a laptop. Your mails you can access via your phone. We have tools within the space, your Teams, your Smart Connect, for you to be able to connect with your people socially as well. So we don't think people are any different or less valuable because they are working remotely. As a matter of fact, you know, we across across all our functions, even in customer service, you have people who actually pick their calls from home. So what we'll do is we'll provide them resources, we'll provide them some, you could talk about internet interventions or power interventions to be able to at least attend to our customers. So that we do. And for our people, because of the fact that you can do everything on your phone, you have your laptop assigned to you, you can join your meetings via Teams. As a matter of fact, post-COVID, a lot less emphasis have been actually made on physical meetings. So everybody's very comfortable with holding your meetings, via Teams, or which is basically the tool we use. And then for the fact that if you're on Teams, for example, it offers you an opportunity to be able to submit your report. You have 2 or 3 or more people working on a particular document on its own. You can make your submissions. You can do everything real time. So technology has helped us, and we invest quite a lot, like I said, in technology, and that has helped us really to be successful at DHL. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Adebola, and thank you, Sei. Philip, you very kindly posed a question, and I'm allowing your mic, and I would just love to invite you to ask your question. Hi, Philip. If you'd like to ask your question, you're most welcome to now. Philip, we'll come back if that's okay, because I don't know whether you can hear me at the moment. But what we might do is ask you, Efiana, and forgive me, I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. If you'd like to ask your question now, we could perhaps come back to Philip, and we've probably got time just for those 2 questions before we wrap up.
Okay, good afternoon.
Hello.
Okay, Mr. Seyi, I'm interested in stakeholder management. How you were able to get your team leads, your managers, because I know that DHL is a multinational organization, but of course, working for DHL Nigeria, how you guys were able to get your managers, your team leads to key into this idea. And of course, understand that employee experience matters. Because for some of us that work for Nigerian business, part of the issue we have is my team leads, my managers will tell you, no, HR, this is not part of my problem. HR, you are giving me too much problem. HR, this is headache for me. And you have to engage them front and back, and these guys are not willing. So how were you able to do this?
Okay, so we have a lot of employee engagement programs. Okay, for example, we have Straight to the Top, for example, which allows you access the MD. You understand, you pose any of your questions, you can approach him, you can document it, you can stay anonymous. So Straight to the Point, to the Top is one aspect, one of the tools we use. We also have what do you call that again? Those meetings where periodically you have your time with the MD. I'm talking about the MD, not even the HR right now, where you have supervisors, you have their reports, the admin, the manager sessions, where everybody can talk freely. You understand? Freely, communicate freely, express your concerns freely. And of course, we're a very unionized environment. So that talks about another level of stakeholders management, where the union are very expressive. And over time, I could tell you this, it's no secret. Over the past 3 years that I actually joined, or after 3 years consistently now, the union has actually waived their rights to actually negotiate and say, look, we trust you, whatever you guys want to give to us, please hand it over. And that's because over time, we've been able to build trust. We have policies that actually protect our people. We have the non-retaliatory policy. We believe that people should actually speak and should not be retaliated on. We encourage, all of that. And beyond that, we also train people. Now, our CIS program is actually culture integration program, talking about, for example, 21st century manager. How to be a 21st century manager. It talks about how you're going to be managing your people, providing feedback, driving before results without compromising. All of those modules are actually available. We have supervisory trainings, so all of that is also to tailor people to have the mindset the best practice mindset. And HR is also there to ensure that people do the right thing. There's not going to be bullying within within the organization. If anybody does report such, it will be taken care of. So it will be addressed. So HR is also very much at the forefront of ensuring that our culture deeply integrates, our people actually behave in the expected manner, and they deliver the results without compromising on respect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There are so much more we could talk about, and so many questions. Philip it's okay, there are some other questions, but I think unfortunately for reasons of time, say if you wouldn't mind just responding quickly to Philip's question. And Philip, thank you for being so flexible. I had hoped you might be able to unmute, but it seems we're not able to. But you very kindly said you're quite impressed by the way you treat your employees. Finally, for today, say, if it's okay, what's the place of merit and experience in career advancement for your employees?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Of course. Philip's question is, what's the place of merit and experience in career advancement for your employees?
Oh, merit. Okay, so for example, we have what you call a high potential program that talks about people who consistently actually meet their numbers or deliver beyond expectations. The opportunities, for example, for you to grow, we have what we call stretch assignments. It could actually be, you could be double hatting. You could be taking an entire role entirely. You could be, we have programs like, for example, because we a regional team or a regional company. I have people within my team currently on stretch assignments managing 6 countries within sub-Saharan Africa. I had one other team member who actually managed 3 other countries. Those are opportunities we give to a high potential people, and they're well spelled out. And we have a culture of grooming our people from within, you understand? And we understand that for them to be able to be relevant or 21st century successful managers, we need to equip them with the right knowledge, skill sets, as well as opportunities for them to be able to thrive. You understand? So for us, we recognize people for their merits and their contributions, and we help them to grow within the organization. So that is us, and our processes are very transparent. Once you go through our EDL process, you have your IDP in place, you are flagged as an high potential employee. We put you in those programs for you to have opportunities to actually grow, learn, and develop your career within the organizations. And over time, we've had my current senior director of operations actually joined the organization as a courier. He was actually a courier, and if I say courier, we have couriers who drive vans and who actually ride bikes. It started as a courier, and it's not the only person. We have a number of people who have actually grown through the ranks. You understand? And very important for us is that, our people are developed, and such stories are told around, and people recognize that his direct reports, a number of his direct reports actually grew through the ranks as well. They were couriers as well. So getting it right from the beginning is what we do. We ensure our standards are very right. And then once you get into the organization, you can grow. Merit is actually very important for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Say, and Philip, for your question. And thank you for anyone who's asked a question, but I'm so sorry to say that we haven't had time to address this afternoon, but for reasons of respect of time and wrapping up on time, I'll just say thank you for your follow-up, Philip. I'm glad that the response was impressive, and thank you for engaging on the chat. And I'd now like to turn to Otemere, who is our Great Place to Work leader in Nigeria, and ask him to provide us with some concluding comments. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, beautiful. We can. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Francina, I told you that she has quite a lot that he can share with this team this afternoon. And so truly enjoyed this session this afternoon. Great to have been part of all of this session. And I want to put it out here to say that globally, DHL Express Global has been recognized 3 years in a row as the best company to work for. And the results from Nigeria actually contributed to that score. And so looking forward to seeing what it will look like again this year. Shay, once again, thanks a lot. Great insights around being deliberate, great insights around building trust, things that we preach and command across the globe for a great place to work. Also, we talked about the boarding system. And this is interesting because of the fact that beyond what you do, the HR space, the HR team usually does a lot with regards to onboarding. But we know from our analysis that a lot of keeping the employees happy, keeping the employees going, lies a lot with regards to what the middle managers, the line managers, and all the team leaders do within the different spaces that they have and they're operating. And interesting statistics that we have, our survey has 2 questions that we ask employees. When you join the organization, you are made to feel welcome. The second one being that when you change jobs or work units, you are made to feel right at home. For great workplaces, there is a recognized 9% gap last year. So for instance, the average of that first statement of joining the organization was 94% for great workplaces. But when those employees moved around across different departments, that number dropped by about 9%. However, for non-great workplaces in Nigeria, there is a 23% gap between that first question of made to feel welcome through the HR process of orientation and onboarding, and where employees now move to the different teams. There's a 23% gap compared to the average of 9% gap for great workplaces. So without a shadow of doubt, there's emphasis on what the middle managers need to do to keep employees happy and motivated and well coordinated at work. But thank you once again. Like Sherry mentioned, it's about measurements. It's so critical to be able to measure. And so if you want to be able to do some measurements, get some perspectives, get understanding with regards to, is organization a great place to work? How can your organization become a great place to work? We are able to be of great assistance to you. There is a link on the chat that you can access to get insights around how you can begin the journey for your organization to become a great workplace. Once again, Petrina, thanks a lot for this session. One great session, great insights, great conversation. Shay, thanks a lot for being there, putting together all of this to be part of this session with us. We're looking forward to the next one. Hopefully, it's going to be on the 7th of August, where once again, we'll bring in one of our great leaders with some of the best practices across that you can see in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Petrina.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, and thank you so much, Say, and thank you everybody for your care, enthusiasm and attention today. Thank you all. It's been a privilege. Take care.
Thank you.